Entering the Mayo experience.
That Mayo experience. That Mayo experience. That Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dogger Pass Podcast. This for UFC 254. Khabib versus Gaethje for the lightweight championship of the world. I'm obviously Paul Shaughnessy, Khabib super fan, joined in studio by the man, the myth, the legend, Cody Saftic. How's it going, buddy?
Paul, you more look like a Super Saiyan fan with that.
I lost my shirt, though. That was a great shirt.
Yeah, so
I would have a
came
little
in.
cutout of Justin Gaethje's face.
Right, of course. As you guys
for
know,
the bear that he was mauling. What a fucking
if
shirt.
you've,
I don't
if
know
you've
where
watched
I
the
went.
show for a long time, Paul has a notorious shirt, Khabib mauling Tony Ferguson. And yeah, he's been known to just cut out somebody's face and put it on. And as soon as I walked in, I was like, where the hell's your shirt? And he's like, I must have gone on a drunken escapade at some point this summer, and lost it. And you know what? Where I'd normally laugh, all my best shirts, can't fucking find them. It just happens. It just happens.
Well,
Along the line, you
your
lose
best
them.
shirts end up in the places.
Yeah, I think about them all the time. Like, fuck, where's
in your
that Jimi Hendrix
deepest,
shirt? No,
most
gone.
lost memories. That's where your best shirts are.
Gone.
Yeah.
Well, making new memories.
Making new memories. Should we just get into the action here?
Yeah, I don't think we got much housekeeping from last week. You did want to give me shit about Matus Gamrot. I thought he won, but whatever. Yeah, it wasn't a good play.
I
That's
wasn't
what
impressed
was
by
the
him. We
ultimate
kind of missed
shit.
the.
But we talked about he
missed the
never
spot
looks
to fade him because
never looks great.
I mean,
but
now any sort of fight that he enters, he's not going to be a minus 300 favorite. I just think Cutelaba, perfect training partner basically in Chimaev to get him ready for a guy like that. And yeah, as he never really quit. When he would get taken down, he's just fighting. He did get taken down. He was controlled a little bit.
close fight. If I
It was
would have
definitely a
got
close
that split, it changes everything. If I get that split and I get the Malarkey fight, like we're laughing on the show. Unfortunately,
There was a lot of malarkey on that decision.
Yeah, how we're going to segue that now into here is as soon as it went to decision, I knew I was fucked. I knew I was fucked because this guy was touted all week as Chimaev's boy. And now they are just Chimaev all over the broadcast, baby. He's sitting, he's getting camera time. He's backstage working with John Phillips. Not that made a difference.
I mean,
He's yelling ringside. The second it went to the scorecards, I was like, they're not fucking Chimaev's boy. There's just going to be an outrage. And that segues into Gaethje needs to keep up this finish rate of his because if he goes to decision with Khabib in a relatively close fight, I don't think they're giving it to Gaethje.
Khabib the Eagle, Nurmagomedov minus 335 favorite. Justin Gaethje can be had for plus 275. Here, I'll take my fan hat off for a second, okay? I'll lay the landscape here. Justin Gaethje with Trevor Whitman probably is going to have the best game plan, best strategy. A former collegiate wrestler. Never really wrestles, but nobody ever really tries to take him down, at least in the UFC, because maybe they think that they can't do it. I mean, against Tony Ferguson, best he's ever looked, and all of that. The guy hits like a ton of bricks. That is his out to win this fight. I think Trevor Whitman will have the best strategy possible to beat the GOAT, but man, I watched Ferguson versus Gaethje simultaneously.
Wow.
With Khabib. That's kind of how I've been doing tape recently. Is I like having them on the same screen. You kind of see how one guy moves, if there's any holes. Like it seems for me, obviously different styles. Guys are going to fight a little bit differently, but it's kind of like you're seeing them on the same screen, so it kind of works with my brain.
Little Cody can't multitask.
That's kind of where I was at. I should have trusted my own judgment, but on Cutelaba, is like that's where I was watching Gamrot and Cutelaba fights at the same time on the same screen. I was just like, this is a lot
Man,
closer.
he didn't pursue the takedowns enough either. That fight pisses me off, Gamrot. Yeah. Fuck. I know we have to move on.
So Whitman will have
son of a bitch.
The best plan possible. They're doing, but everyone has always known, Cody. What you got to stop the takedown. Justin Gaethje has said for for this whole lead up, he's saying all the perfect things. Is the cage is hot lava or hot fire. Like I can't get pushed up against the cage. If I do, then he grabs that grip, and nobody gets out of the Khabib grip there. But yeah, watching them both on the same screen at the same time. I mean, it was Gaethje's best performance, but there's like a lot of like big looping shots. His feet are off center. He stumbles in a couple spots trying to land like leg kicks. You make any of those mistakes against Khabib, you're going on the ground.
Yeah.
And you watch that Khabib fight. The fan hat's going back on.
Oh, it's back on now. I want to talk to non-fanboy Paul for just like 2 seconds, but that's fine. Hat's back on. Hat's back
You
on.
watch Khabib versus... That was his perfect performance. Besides what a 30-second window in round 2 where Poirier literally is just going for broke. Literally just going for broke. Swinging at the air. Lands a couple good ones. Khabib not phased by it. Round 3, obviously, he goes for the guillotine.
Yeah.
The escape from that guillotine. Oh, my Lord. Like, he was never phased. His dad was in attendance. This is his dad's tribute fight. Khabib's not losing this fucking fight.
Yeah.
He's not going to lose.
Okay.
It's a puncher's chance. Right now, it's minus 335. I think best case scenario, and watching Khabib's interviews and stuff this week, stone-blooded killer. The guy seems focused. He's not letting Gaethje's fight get out of his head. He's not overthinking things here. He is looking forward to trying to get a George St. Pierre fight, of course. I think, honestly, the division's washed out if he gets through this fight. And, sign me up for George versus Khabib. Maybe at a catch weight. I don't know. He's talking about 155. I don't know if George could be bothered to fucking come down at this point. But, yeah, man, if Khabib shows up like he did against Poirier, there ain't a soul at 155. And there's likely, matchups against like Covington and Usman could be problematic against bigger guys using that type of style. But there's not a soul who can stop that.
Yeah, okay. So to counter it, I just don't...
Do you want my fan hat on or off?
The only question I had for non-fanboy Paul,
Okay,
right,
hat off.
real quick, is no hat on. What would you line this fight at?
Honestly, like with
335
any sort
is
of
fair? You'd line it the
doubts,
same?
80% would be a minus 400. So I think 80% is being generous
he
to
wins
Gaethje.
8
And
out
I
of-
love Gaethje.
yeah,
Listen,
sure.
Gaethje,
Sure.
hardworking guy and the most exciting fighter in maybe UFC history. The guy, everyone turns up for Gaethje's fight. Super respectful, tough, keeps learning, has a never quit, never say die kind of attitude. But the shots for those takedowns against Poirier, it's just like, oh my God, how do you stop that?
Yeah, okay, I get that. So one, Dustin Poirier can wrestle, but is not a wrestler, right? He's not a guy that wrestled collegiately, not a guy that wrestled in high school. He's a tough kid from Louisiana, comes to American Top Team, learns to wrestle, can wrestle, but not a wrestler. Guy wants to box you up, staying standing, no problem. The thing I noticed about that Poirier fight is Poirier talks himself into a world title fight. He's finally here. It's his big moment, and it's almost as if mentally he crumbles a little bit. The first 2 rounds, he doesn't look himself. He doesn't let his hands go. He doesn't really do anything. He just allows himself to get mauled. His very next fight against Dan Hooker, fuck what you know, he does the exact same thing. He goes down 2 rounds. He looks tired. He's swinging at air. He looks awful, but he works his way back into that fight. Khabib never gave him the opportunity to work his way back into it. He submitted it. That's fine. But Dustin Poirier wasn't really that guy that was going to keep the fight standing and really show us how good Khabib is in a strictly stand affair. Just wasn't that guy. Prior to that, he gets Conor McGregor. Well, wouldn't you know it? Conor McGregor, not a wrestler. Before that, he gets Ally Quinta. Ally Quinta, not a wrestler, right? Can wrestle, but he's a technical boxer with a BJJ black belt. Not a wrestler. Before that, he gets Edson Barbosa, Michael Johnson, Daryl Horcher, Rafael Dos Anjos.
Michael
and
Johnson, I remember when
fuck off. Michael Johnson's not a wrestler, man.
I mean, people were saying that
Yeah, people were
in the
saying
lead
that.
up.
Chin checked him, but you need to be able to keep the fight standing and chin check him multiple times. The last time he fought a wrestler is Pat Healy. It's 2013. It's 7 years ago. Pat Healy's got wrestling chops, certainly not on Khabib's level, and doesn't have the striking to back it up. So at the very least, here you have Justin Gaethje. You don't see the wrestling on tape. You don't see it in the octagon because, he doesn't really wrestle all that much. But here's a guy that started wrestling at 4 years old. Here's a guy that was a standout high school wrestler, 2-time state champion, wrestled collegiately at a D1 program, did good, competed his entire life.
Why doesn't he wrestle? Because he's worried that it'll
'cause
drain his gas tank.
He knows what the fans want.
No, I think it's because he knows he can't wrestle for 5 rounds.
No, probably not. But can he counter wrestle in spots for 5 rounds is the real question, because he's not going out there trying to take Khabib down. It's a lot more tiresome trying to take a guy down than it is trying to just keep the fight standing and back away. I think at least Khabib should struggle a little more getting Justin Gaethje down than he has to these other guys.
Fair.
Now you talk about game planning, right? Justin Gaethje goes out on record coming into the Tony Ferguson fight, a fight that he takes on a week's notice, comes into that and he's just like, oof, I'm not in very good shape. I'm going to have to knock this guy out quick. 1 or 2 rounds or I'm tired. That's what leads to a lot of guys to take Tony Ferguson. This guy, don't stop. Great chin. Going to be there after 3, 4, and 5 and has a great gas tank. He's just going to pour it on Gaethje. And Gaethje, week's notice. No training camp. Doesn't look tired once. Yeah, maybe like you're saying in some spots he's looking a little sloppy and the like. He fucking took the fight on a week's notice against El Kakui Tony Ferguson. Like, goddamn it. Now he's got an extended camp against Khabib where he knows exactly the guy he's fighting. He's going to be much more prepared. As far as cardio goes, Khabib never slows down. Never does. Gaethje, at least he's got some cardio, not on Khabib's level, but comparable, right? Might be able to hang. The wrestling, Khabib's got a huge wrestling advantage, no doubt about it. But Gaethje can wrestle, right? At least he should be able to, in some spots, stuff a few takedowns to keep this fight standing. And when it is standing, I'm not so much leaning to puncher's chance. He's got to line him up with that right hand. See, I'm going to, how do you beat a Russian, right? How do you beat a tough Russian? Well, for the last 15, 20 years, Paul, unless they fix it, you got to hit him with a triangle choke. That was just the move, because it's a Hail Mary move off your back. You got to throw up that triangle choke. There's so many good examples of Russians getting submitted from the triangle choke.
Ankalaev, who we'll talk about later.
Yeah, of course. We'll talk about him later. That was at least one thing Tony Ferguson had, that maybe with his grappling, he could throw up a submission. Gaethje doesn't have that. But the game's evolving. Like everything, things change, things evolve. What's the new way to beat them? I'm telling you, this is what I'm seeing. And I think Trevor Whitman and others are seeing the same thing. It's the low calf kick. You have to attack with the low calf kick. The regular leg kick always gets caught by the wrestler. If you're just going to go out there and throw kicks, he's eventually going to catch one, throw you to the ground. That's always been the story behind leg kicks. You go to that calf kick, what it's going to do is it's going to slow down Khabib. It's going to demobilize him. And then it's going to be harder for him to shoot on those takedowns. Justin Gaethje's got nasty leg kicks, really nasty leg kicks, but he's going to focus on the calf. You focus on the calf early, even if you are going to take him down.
Throw a leg kick, you're open, you're susceptible to the takedown.
To the thigh. You go to the thigh. You go to the calf. It's way harder to catch. You've got to lean all the way down. Now you're leaning all the way down. He's going to line you up with one of those big hooks, right? Yes, Khabib can strike. We've seen it in the McGregor fight. He's making a lot of improvements.
Against Poirier, he stayed out of trouble. And then he looked for the perfect spot. He found the takedown.
Poirier went into that fight a defeated man. I know it's crazy because he's a legendary
after round
fighter
one, he goes,
and
there's not a lot of space out there. After round two, he's like, I can't get him the fuck off of me, man. And then round three, he sells out for the guillotine choke. Khabib maneuvers around a couple times.
If you walk up to me on the street, and tell me this is a 50-50 fight, yeah, I'm taking the legend. I'm taking Khabib. When you tell me it's a minus 330 price tag, I see a lot of variables in that. I like what Gaethje presents. Gaethje presents a tougher task than the rest of those guys he's fought because of the wrestling, because of the kicks, because of the better striking,
what I was thinking until I watched the tape last
because
night.
of the durability. It's crazy, and you know what? I mean, I'm on the guy's wiki page the other day, and it all makes sense. Justin Ray Gaethje, born in Sanford, Arizona. His mother Carolina is of Mexican descent. Ooh, Justin Gaethje. That's why he can take a hell of a punch, man. Like, cast iron chin. The guys that have knocked him out, Eddie Alvarez, it was a dogfight. He caught him with a knee late. And Dustin Poirier. If you want to talk MMA math, fuck, Dustin Poirier beat him.
I'm not thinking MMA math.
No, but those guys got the gunpowder to go, tit for tat with him, take his best shots, give it back. And you can seriously argue that he took something out of Eddie Alvarez and he took something out of Dustin Poirier. But he himself, he's still young. He's still the highlight kid. He's still getting better and better.
If they fought 10 times, Cody, how many times does Gaethje win?
I don't know. I think more than 2. You said 2. I'd say.
So that would be minus 400. Would be, if you're
I'm
talking
just
value,
really
plus
tempted.
275 means that he would win like.
Well, this is what I mentioned to you.
Like
This is what I mentioned to you.
I don't know. I don't have a calculator in front of me, but like mid 70%, or Khabib would win 70% of the time.
This is what I mentioned to you earlier, is that you put Khabib on your parlays, right? Because it's the last fight of the night. If your parlays get to the main event unscathed, then it's an easy hedge out on Justin Gaethje. I think he's the kind of guy you hedge out on. And one last point I want to bring up, right? You said he's super motivated. This is his father's tribute fight. That all might be possible. It might be possible. But the flip side to that is the other guys we've seen from the camp, whether it be Tagir Ulanbekov, didn't look particularly great. We saw Tuhugov, didn't particularly great. Saeed looked sick. But it was really fast.
We're ready, brother.
It was fucking awesome. Like 2 minutes into the fight, right? So I don't know. Is he gonna go 3, 4, 5 really, really hard? He's
been in camp for like 3 months.
He has, but it's just I don't know. Well, we'll talk about it because we got to get down. But one thing I want to mention, we can totally move away, is Walt Harris, right? Walt Harris comes into the fight with Overeem as motivated as you could get, right? Here's his tribute fight. If you see his physicality now, his shape now, and you see him there, he's like 30 pounds out of shape fighting. Well, why wasn't he super motivated? shit happened in his life. You could be motivated, but it's like hard to really dial it in. So with Khabib, maybe he is dialed in. Maybe he's so cast iron, sturdy Russian. And listen, look at his record.
He is like the most
he more
cast
than
iron
likely
sturdy
is.
Russian in the history of
He more than
combat
likely
sports.
is. Yes, he more than likely is. But you don't know how that affects a man, right? You don't know how the guidance and how the preparation and how.
He's not losing his father's tribute fight, I'm telling you.
No. But you know how it is. Like I don't know. We don't know how it is. We're not fighters. But you're between rounds, right? You're down 2 rounds. He's never been down 2 rounds. You're in a fight. It's tough. The guy's landing some good shots. You're starting to get tired. Your father gives you a piece of wisdom. Your father motivates you. Your father tells you, son, this is what you got to go do. As opposed to you're sitting there with Islam Makhachev telling you what to do. Still pretty good. But it's different, you know? And it's a big, big price tag. And then I was shocked because, listen, we're 7-0 on Khabib picks. So if I officially go Gaethje...
I've never lost a Khabib bet, no.
I know. We started the show in 2014. He already had 4 fights in the UFC at that point. But I was shocked to find out this guy debuts in the UFC in 2012. This is his 12th fight in the UFC. Sam Alvey debuted in the UFC in 2014. He's about to have 19. Mm-hmm. How does that happen? Khabib doesn't really fight all that often. There's a mystique. There's an aura. He's a badass.
When he shows up to work, he gets the job done.
But is that baked into the price? Is he such a fucking badass, nostalgic Fedor type figure that you're cooking it into the price?
If you're betting Gaethje based on
look, man.
the last time we saw the last time we saw Khabib versus Poirier, like nobody's fucking stopping that guy. He's got to show. If he doesn't show up, like, sorry, I'm getting so excited. I'm throwing my pen at you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wearing a Khabib hat, so people are gonna try to take this with a grain of salt. I fucking mean it, though.
Is there anybody?
If that guy, if the Khabib that showed up against Poirier shows up against any lightweight,
What if the one who showed up against
nobody's stopping that?
What if the one who showed up against Alvey Quintus shows up? Does he kill him 8 out of 10 times if the version that?
I mean, the guy who showed up in round 1 and 2, I'm under the impression that Khabib was playing with his food in rounds 3 and 4, and then round 5 he's just like, okay, just in case we've got crazy.
He was playing with his food in the Bryson Tebow.
He wanted to play
too,
with his hands. All we've heard from Khabib in all of his interviews leading up to this fight is, I'm taking this fight to the ground immediately. He knows what the threat is of Justin Gaethje. I'm sure they've trained together. They're both managed by Ali. They've been together before. They've probably, played around or sparred, not sparred, but rolled around with each other a little bit.
That's the key difference, Paul, right? Let's say they meet for a weekend getaway, okay? Right? It's feasible that they've wrestled together in that weekend getaway. Gaethje now has knowledge that Khabib might have even showed him, hey, dude, we're friends. We're managed by the same guy. We're spending some time together. Here's a couple of moves. This guy does, this is what you do, this counter, right? In those times that you spent together, he never punched you in the face. He never kicked you in the leg as hard as he could because you don't. Not until fight night. And Gaethje comes out on fight night. Anyways, listen, it's just such a big price tag. I wanted you to talk me into Khabib, but so far I'm hearing a lot of Fedor type nostalgia, right? I just
What are you talking about nostalgia? I was talking about literally his fight against Poirier.
You thought it was a masterpiece?
It was a masterpiece. The only spot was round 2 where he ends up in a little bit of trouble. We are gonna openly accept anybody who wants to take or go for a guillotine choke on us.
I'm worried.
Great, get it to the ground. That's where we want it to be. The only thing was, he took a couple shots as Poirier's just chasing him down and just throwing looping shots, just trying to be like, this is my only way to win. And he landed a good one, but Khabib never really got fazed by any of it. I think we underestimate how good Khabib's chin is as well. Think about all the shots.
Seen him get hit,
Tony Ferguson took a hellacious beating, but he was able to maintain. He was able to take him. He didn't fall down like the 3 people in a row that Gaethje iced in the first round. James Vick, I mean, talk about chinny. Edson Barbosa is pretty durable over time, but he has been sparked. I think of Cowboy Cerrone throwing a jab on him, dropping him, and then cleaning him up.
And that was when his chin was all the way together. Jamie Varner blasted him once upon a time as well. But Khabib's
chin, I think, is super underrated. People try to talk themselves into every single time Khabib fights. Everyone tries to talk themselves into, this guy's got power. This guy's got this. Allahumdulillah. We're gonna get this. We're gonna get this one more time.
Could be.
And then it's hopefully he gets the GSP fight. I mean, I think he should open up his ideas, open up to the concept that GSP can't get down to 155. We've never seen GSP at 155, so why would he come down for one fight? But yeah, Khabib should be a minus 400 favorite here, in my opinion.
Last question, then. You got him by decision? You got him inside the distance?
See, I was actually talking to my buddy Bo about that because there's like a prop out there plus 400 by unanimous decision. And, you know, we're in Abu Dhabi. The judges are going to be favoring the
Gaethje really needs to put a beating on him, or he's in trouble.
Gaethje probably needs a
sure.
finish or has to be so undeniable. But the problem is just like, man, Poirier is a tough guy. Like, and the amount of pressure that Khabib put on him, like anybody over the course of 5 rounds is liable to wilt. I know Khabib used to be a decision machine before, but now we've started to see that, like, as he's improved himself, people always kind of forget that he's getting better every single time. I don't know if people can take that type of defeat. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I looked at the props on it. I didn't like them enough. I saw like Khabib like 11-1 round 4, 11-1, or in that range. I don't have any numbers in front of me.
Do you want to see weigh-ins?
Like round 4, round 5.
55 before.
Yeah, he's looked pretty slender in the interviews, I think.
Yeah, no tiramisu. That's always a positive.
No tiramisu. Hopefully. I mean, weigh-ins are always a stress bag.
Could be some tiramisu between here and weigh-ins.
For sure. Maybe you got a better price on Khabib if he struggles with that weigh-in. But, so what? Your pick is officially...
You know what? I'm gonna take Justin Gaethje, and I
really?
I would say if you gave me plus 275 on anybody in Elevation Fight Team, I would take it. It's a 5-round fight. He's got good cardio. I just don't like.
All right, let's make a bet here.
I'll shave my upper lip into a Chechnyan style beard.
Do you want me to do the same?
Khabib wins.
So yeah, if anybody will throw up a picture right now of the Khabib, which
I'm gonna look. Yeah, I can't say I'll look like a fool because they all rock it and it actually looks gangst. I just am not them. So.
Oh, yeah, we don't have exactly the body type. That
right.
The beard is the full out beard, and you kind of shave the mustache. It kind of looks ridiculous, but so it's Khabib for Khabib. Is that what we're doing?
What are you gonna shave it into if Gaethje wins?
Would you want me to shave it into something else, or do you want me to have a Khabib?
So we both end up with one. If Khabib wins, I gotta get it. If Khabib loses, you gotta
you only
get
have
it?
to do it for like next week's show, and then
yeah,
whatever.
of course,
Then you can have your facial hair back.
yeah. All right, yeah.
Khabib for Khabib?
I mean, you got a 335 favorite, but I'll take it. Sure.
Game on. All right. I think we talked about that one for a long time, but I had fun with it. Let's move on. We got Jared Cannonier taking on Robert the Reaper Whittaker. Jared Cannonier minus 115 favorite. Whittaker minus 105. Basically a straight pick 'em. Where are you leaning here?
Yeah, so I'm kind of leaning towards Jared Cannonier, to be honest. Like, it's so with Whittaker, again, only 29 years old, and it's similar to the Dustin Poirier situation. Here's a guy that's obviously super motivated. Here's a guy that obviously wants it. It's not like his body's reacting the way it used to back in his prime. He's taken a lot of damage in the fights, but he's taken a lot of damage outside of the fights. He's had that nasty staph infection, almost cost him his life. He's had a bunch of surgeries. He's had to come back from this and that. I just don't know that Robert Whittaker's the best version of himself. So you look back at even his title reign, right? Those Yoel Romero fights are just absolutely legendary, but both of them take an absolute toll on his body. They're very arguable that he loses the second Yoel fight. Well, I would actually say I think he lost the second Yoel fight. And then the Adesanya fight, he's just a slower version of himself. He's not nearly as competitive. Adesanya is a next level talent, especially if you're going to keep this fight striking. But what I found very a good takeaway from that fight, let's say, is that Robert Whittaker is a guy that knows how to wrestle. Robert Whittaker is a guy that, technically speaking, qualified for the Team Australia and the Commonwealth team. The guy knows how to wrestle, yet he's very reluctant to use his wrestling. Mm-hmm. Against Adesanya, there's no point to prove, man. Take him down. Mm-hmm. Don't try to stand with him. Doesn't care to take him down, and he pays the ultimate price. He gets KO'd. It's a bad knockout. It adds to the mileage. It adds to the wear and tear. Now he gets Darren Till, and I am so pro Robert Whittaker in this fight. I let it roll on Robert Whittaker. That's where the Shopworn factor comes in. He looks real Shopworn in the Darren Till fight. He's a lot slower than he used to be. He doesn't throw nearly as much because when you throw 100 significant strikes, your opponent always lands 40, 50, 60 back. If you land 30 significant strikes, he might only land 15, right? And once you start taking those shots, as he did against Romero, as he did against Adesanya, he doesn't seem super happy-go-lucky with letting his hands fly anymore. He's not throwing combinations. He's not throwing a ton of volume. The fight with Till, even though he pulls through, gets the victory for me, very, very happy. He did not look good. Now Till is a one shot at a time kind of guy, has a lot of power, is very accurate. But one has to wonder, maybe Till could have done a little bit more and defeated Whittaker. And then where does Whittaker stand within the division?
Whittaker, it was clenching. We were clenching, a little bit worried in round 1 there where Robert
He got dropped,
He got dropped. He looked pretty woozy.
In the second round, he doesn't look good. He loses the second round as well. He wins 3, 4, and 5, I believe. And Till just stops throwing anything. So it's crazy because I'm an ageist, you know that. But we got 29-year-old Robert Whittaker here. We're talking about his baby shop horn versus 36-year-old Jared Cannonier, who just looks so good, man. He fights at heavyweight, right? Loses to Sean Jordan. Sean Jordan is the most athletic 265-pound man you've ever seen, right? I mean, he won a national title for Louisiana State once upon a time. He's got KO wins over guys like Derek Lewis with a head kick. And I think he's finished something like 97% of his 20 pro wins or his 19 pro wins. What the fuck, dude? Sean Jordan's a heavyweight. No big deal. His losses beyond that, at 205, Glover Teixeira, former title challenger, Jan Blachowicz, current world champion, Dominic Reyes, 2-time world title challenger. Those guys are all at 205. The drop down to 185 for him has just been blood shit, man. David Branch fight, I mean, Branch didn't fare well in the UFC, but is a good fighter. He just smokes him out. It's non-competitive. Looks good, for good version of himself. It's more so what he looks on at the scales. It looks even better. Like, he is so shredded. The Anderson Silva fight, it's like he's paying a little respect to Anderson. He doesn't do it a whole lot.
As people do.
And the leg kicks just butchers Anderson. Can't even get around him. People are saying it's cheapy. He was kicking Anderson's leg. Like, fuck off, man. It's a fist fight. Like, realistically. And then the Jack Hermanson fight, it's like, it's a good indicator of, like, you don't want to stand with this guy any longer than you have to. You can try to take him down, but he knows how to wrestle, and he's got a good get-up game, and he's so strong, he's got that explosiveness, he can get up. What you need to do is take this guy into deeper waters, right? Only this is only 3 rounds. So if you put Whittaker and Till in a 3-round fight, what happens? Till actually wins the fight 29-28.
Yeah.
In 5 rounds, Whittaker's got that back-savvy veteranship, former world champion, good cardio. Takes it. Cannonier's built so thick, I don't imagine he carries that through to 4-5, but there's no 4-5 here. So Jared Cannonier's got a good chance of at least going out there, winning the first couple rounds. Whittaker's a slow starter as well because he's used to fighting in 5-round fights. He doesn't exactly get going quick enough. You don't want to be taken off a round or 2 against Jared Cannonier who's just throwing heat. And I don't think there's a judge bias here towards one or the other. Like, what's that shit that Cannonier always fucks with, those crystals?
I don't know, man. He's definitely an interesting spirit, for sure. But I don't know. He believes in it.
He believes in himself, and that is a very underrated tool, man.
And yeah, you watch him on like the embedded stuff this week, and it's just like legit. He's into some wacky shit. He seems like a really, really nice dude. But he's into some wacky shit, but like the guy is it all transfers into self-belief. And the only tragedy in this guy's career is that it took him until he's 35 years old to figure out that he's like a dominant middleweight.
And he spent the first 30 years in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he only went to Arizona to go to the MMA lab like the last 4 or 5 years, and you see those improvements. Good leg kick, good all that. So it comes right back down to that.
I think his cardio's good against Hermanson.
Well, he needs 2 rounds. We need 2 rounds
against Hermanson. I mean, Hermanson comes out. He's going for those takedowns.
He's a top 5 guy.
He gets taken down, but he's got the whizzer. He's pulling himself back up. He has all of the proper defenses against it.
I agree,
He's
man.
such a strong guy. I think it's going to be hard for Whittaker, who's a former welterweight, let's not forget, taking on a former heavyweight. He wasn't really a heavyweight, but he would be Jared Cannonier would be a reasonable light heavyweight at 185. The guy's just short. Yeah.
If you walked
just
into
jacked, I think there's just too much strength disadvantage here. We have seen Whittaker's wrestling, and he, the Australian national team like trains with them or whatever.
He just doesn't wrestle enough, and that's how he's gonna beat Cannonier. And if he
don't do
it,
I think,
if he don't do it,
he could knock him out, I guess. But I don't know. Maybe at 185, the power may not phase him at this. Yeah, the biggest tragedy is looking at the fact that he's 36 years old. It's just like, man, if you were doing this 10 years ago, who knows where this guy's career could have gone. I'm with you, man. I like Jared Cannonier here.
Well, we're rolling on Cannonier. Okay.
Yeah,
I like it.
And I've always pretty much liked Whittaker. I think this is like maybe the first time I've ever faded him, to be perfectly honest.
I'm a Whittaker guy, but it was such a sweat against Till, and there was just so many. Didn't look like the same guy. 29, you're supposed to get better. 30, you're getting better. 31, you're getting better. Cannonier, you're getting better. 36. But when you're in those wars with Yoel changed him.
Yoel changed him.
It's
Now,
like,
I think maybe
it's
Whittaker...
like you got the win, but he got your soul.
I
Like,
think
is it a fair trade-off? Because he soul snatched his ass.
Whittaker, like, watching, like, the countdown show and stuff, he was talking about how he's in a bit of a rut, probably from, like, concussive damage. Who knows? But I think he was a little bit depressed and stuff, and he said he felt better for the Till fight, and he feels even better now. So, like, you know, that can maybe help him have a little bit more confidence.
This other guy
like,
thinks crystals
if you
are
have
giving
any
him uncharted powers, man. Like, what are you talking about? Self-belief? Whittaker's in trouble.
Exactly. It's this is the wrong guy to have any sort of self-belief or self-doubt. Self-doubt is the word I was looking for against. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think Cannonier is super dangerous. And, I mean, I think Izzy probably pieces him up on the feet just by staying
Fast,
at distance,
lengthy,
throwing the leg
yeah.
kicks if we get to there. And this is obviously a number one contender fight. So if Cannonier wins, that's what we're going to see again. But yeah, I'm with him, man. It's weird, you know, if you told me like 3 years ago when this guy's getting knocked, I mean, he got knocked out or he got finished or lost to the best guys at light heavyweight now that John Jones is gone.
Fact, yeah.
But if you had told me that he would be a slight favorite against Robert Whittaker 3 years ago, I'd call you crazy. But here we are. And, yeah, Jared Cannonier's the pick. Let's go. All right, next fight down, we got Alexander Volkov taking on Walt Harris. Volkov minus 185, Harris plus 160. What you take here?
Yeah, when you talk about dangerous guys, Jared Cannonier, Walt Harris very emulates him in the fact that, geez, he's got the big power, he's got the athleticism. The difference is that Cannonier has shown he can carry it through. He can go 2-3 rounds if need be. Will he get tired? Sure. Walt Harris, that explosiveness, that big power, it seemingly just drops off a cliff hard. His wins in the UFC, again, big wins, all big knockouts over guys that, not really hacking up jobs in the UFC currently. Daniel Speets takes him in the second round. That fight, you could see he was getting tired in the fight. But all the same, he gets the knockout with the second left in the second fight. Daniel Speets. The Andrei Arlovsky fight is a robbery win that ends up getting overturned to a no contest. No volume against Arlovsky. Wasn't letting his hands go. The narrative there was that they're friends. They spent time at an American top team together. He didn't want to let his hands go. I didn't fully buy the narrative, but that's fine. The Spivak fight, he knocks him out. The Alexei Olenek fight, and that's your boy. There's just such a speed discrepancy.
Yeah.
He beats him. And then, yeah, man, things happen in his life. I get it. I don't get it, actually. I'll never understand what the man went through. I can never even pretend to understand what the man went through. I don't know that helps you, right? Because, again, you look at Walt Harris, he's 37 years old. If he was going to improve the cardio, what would have happened by now? Would have happened through any of these other fights in his career. But the MO on him is you get him out of the first round, his output falls off. He's also got big power. He's also got big power, and he's got big speed. But he doesn't
big reach too, 81 inches, which matches the 6'7" Volkov.
It does match that big reach of Volkov. Yeah. But he needs to go out there and take Volkov out in the first round. That's what I would assume. Because, again, he was spending time at American top team, and the improvements of that second round cardio, it never made a difference.
Now, how many people take out Volkov in the first round?
Yeah, nobody since Minikov way back in the day in Russia.
Derek Lewis is the last one to finish him, which was... I mean, Derek Lewis round 3, and Derek Lewis was down considerably with what, like 17 seconds left or something?
Yeah, there's
ridiculous like
there's
that.
17 seconds left. No, there's 11 seconds left. But yeah, he goes the distance to Curtis Blades. He's getting up the entire time. He's pushing Blades to his limits. He's got 11 seconds left to go against Derek Lewis. Chike Congo, it's a decision. Tony Johnson Jr. is a decision. Both of them had to rely on wrestling. Everybody relies on wrestling. Walt Harris doesn't wrestle.
Nope.
And he doesn't have the cardio to wrestle. Even if he went in there and was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to take him down for a change. Could be. Are you going to be able to do that in round 2 and 3? No. You're going to get really tired, and then he's going to
get
piece
even
you
more
up.
tired if he were to
See,
wrestle.
Volkov's completely different. He doesn't have the big power. What he does is just extreme volume. Even the Fabricio Verdum fight, it's like, okay, take me down a few times. Work your ass off trying to hold me down, try and take me down, exert energy, and I'll take you out later. Now, that's a 4th round stoppage. He's only got 3 rounds to work with here.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Fabricio Verdum has got a few rounds in him, whereas Walt Harris really doesn't. Now, the Ania Blanchard thing, that happens, and then he fights Overeem, and one would expect him to be in career best shape, but as we talked about earlier, he comes out, he's a little pudgy, a little soft. Now you see pictures of him online. He looks in great shape. He's talking about he's extremely motivated. He's got a full camp. He really wants to go out there and get that victory. That's all good stuff. That's all good. But again, at 37, it's like, where were these improvements earlier on? And not at American top team anymore. back in Alabama where he's training, right? And I just don't know that he's made. Now, flip side to Volkov, we talked about, he's only fighting the best guys. He literally lost to Blades in a fight that Blades is huffing and puffing. Blades took him down 14 times on 25 attempts. Ain't that some shit? That's got to be a heavyweight record, right? Most takedown attempts attempted. Walt Harris has never attempted more than 3. And that was against Arlovsky, a fight that he arguably lost. And he's only ever scored 1 in a fight. So if the takedown's off the table, and I think it's off the table, he needs to line up Volkov and knock him out in the first round. And because I don't fully see it happening, I think it's a competitive first round. I think you could live bet Volkov and maybe even get a better price on him after the first round. I guess
like a draw would probably be in play because
Draws in play.
Maybe he drops him. Maybe Walt Harris drops him in round 1, has a big round 1, doesn't put him away, and then Volkov takes over round 2 and 3. That would be my biggest concern. But I'm with you. I think Volkov rolls here. Two
moments. You know what? Your theory about the screen side by side. Do this when you go home, right?
Yep.
Put Curtis Blades versus Volkov on the one screen, and put Alistair Overeem versus Walt Harris on the other screen. Okay. Volkov's taken down 14 times. He's taking on the best wrestler in the division currently, because Cormier is done. Velasquez is done. He's the best wrestler in the division currently, and he has the best cardio in the division currently. 14 times. At no point is this guy out of it. He works his way back up. He never quits. He finds a way out. Walt Harris taken down versus Overeem, and he has absolutely 0 answers. He can't shuck his hips. He can't move his hands. He flattens out.
He's cooked.
Waits for the referee to step in, right? And people can say, man, if I was thinking about my step down, I would have powered up. No, not how the fight game works. It's not always going to be a fairy tale story. I like Walt Harris. I hope Walt Harris goes out there and gets this big moment he's searching for. But I took a dog in Gaethje. I'm taking a dog in Jared Cannonier. I'm not taking.
It's a pick'em.
Oh, it's a pick'em. Yeah, no, yeah,
it's
right.
my favorite Cannonier.
Yeah, -115. That's how the bookie gets you. They do not lose on that fight. I can't bet the 160 on Walt Harris just on the 1 round knockout. Go out there and get this guy. Could it happen? It's MMA. It's heavyweights. He's got big power. Volkov could get caught.
Sure.
Big tall guy, sure. But like Volkov's a savvy vet himself, man. He's fought the who's who's. He knows how to get into those later rounds, and that's where Walt Harris particularly struggles. So I'm going to go with Alexander Volkov.
Phil Hawes takes on Jacob Malkoun. Hawes -260 favorite. Malkoun +220. Watched a little bit on Malkoun before as I was coming in or before I came in here. I wasn't too impressed. Phil Hawes is obviously
a specimen.
An absolute tank.
But is he a fighter? He's a specimen.
Yeah, we've seen him obviously finished before. Where's the value at on this line, Cody?
But yeah, well, see, there's the thing. There's no real value on this because Phil Hawes should be the favorite. But 260 Phil Hawes, you just never want to bet it. He's got a problem with kind of lapsing in these moments. Take in consideration this. Phil Hawes wrestled at Iowa Community College. He's 31 years old. John Jones wrestled at Iowa Community College. He's 31 years old. They wrestled in college together. Colby Covington was there at the time. Right from the get-go, Phil Hawes is a good wrestler. Phil Hawes is at Greg Jackson's. Phil Hawes is one of John Jones's chief sparring partners. Going on to The Ultimate Fighter, this guy openly is like, I take rounds from John Jones in the gym all the time. It's like, God damn, this guy's going to be something nice. And Andrew Sanchez puts a whooping on him. Okay, fair enough. Andrew Sanchez actually won that season. No big deal. Move on from there. World Series of Fighting, Lewis Taylor. Again, he comes in as a big favorite over Lewis Taylor. Well, actually, he was only a -180. And Lewis Taylor's got a nasty guillotine on him. He's 40 years old, but you don't want to fuck around with that guillotine. Sure enough, Phil Hawes puts himself into the guillotine, choked out. And Lewis Taylor ended up winning $1 million in the PFL tournament. Not bad competition. But then the Dana White Contender Series fight against Julian Marquez. Again, you want to believe that this guy's good. He's -200 favorite over Julian Marquez, and he doesn't pursue the takedowns enough. He gets hit. He eventually gets head kicked. He gets folded up by Julian Marquez. Man, what's there to like out of him? He can't really grapple. Grappling's not his strong suit. He can't really strike. Striking is not his strong suit. What about his wrestling, right? Wrestle with John Jones. Wrestle with Colby. Why don't we go to that? He's built so physically thick and powerful. I don't know that he wants to go out and wrestle for 3 rounds. He has a significant wrestling advantage over a lot of his competition. He just doesn't really go to it. Now, on one hand, he's a prospect. He's green. Even though he's 31, it's kind of old for a prospect, he's still learning. And in the 4 fights since then, you do see some of that growth. You do see some of that improvement. They mashed him up lightly. They give him finally another Contender Series fight against Kazmarat Bastayev. Very favorable matchup for Phil Hawes, but he goes out there and gets the win. You want to believe in this guy. It's just there's at the back of your head, this guy gets put in a compromised situation. I don't know how he's going to react to it. If he gets hit and he gets stunned, he's not going to fight through it because we've seen that. If he gets caught in a bad submission attempt, he's not going to persevere and work his way out of it because we've seen that. As far as working with John Jones, what does that mean these days? That your John Jones is the chief sparring partner. What does that mean? What's going on in Greg Jackson's right now? That gym's in disarray. What's going on with John Jones right now? He's in disarray. There's just a lot of moving parts that I don't know that is a selling factor for Phil Hawes anymore.
Fair.
Meanwhile, Jacob Malkoun, you know what his selling feature is? Chief sparring partner for Robert Whittaker, and that's why he's on the card. You look at his record, he fights once a year. Fought once in 2017, fought once in 2018, actually fought twice in 2019, and now has effectively taken an entire year off. He has no experience.
He's 4-0.
He's 4-0. He's a BJJ purple belt. He teaches, he's one of the head coaches at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the gym. A lot of people say he is good. He's competed for a couple grappling industry tournaments. You can find that shit online. He also competed for the ADCC Oceania title. Whittaker also competed there. But beyond that, he's not like a stud grappler. They say he's got wrestling chops. Not like Phil Hawes, he don't. And as much as you can be like, oh, dude, Whittaker training partner, on the same card as Robert Whittaker, going to be in good shape. Whittaker probably gets on the spot on this card. Taking a tough fight. Obviously got confidence in himself. Decent grappling, apparently. Even though he's only a purple belt, decent grappling. Could he catch Phil Hawes? But the second you hit the play button on the footage, he does not look good, man. Very herky-jerky with his striking. He's very labored. He's very flat-footed. His wrestling doesn't really seem to be a problem. Maybe his cardio's there, but he'd really have to get Phil Hawes later in the fight. And at that point, just live bet it if you're really worried about Hawes fading out. But
or
honestly,
cash out.
Yeah, cash out. Honestly, he's just such a superior athlete, and I got to feel that those early career setbacks hopefully paved the way for a better version of Phil Hawes. He's been looking a little bit better. But he needs to fight the Jacob Malkouns of the world to keep that progression going. They give him anybody decent, I feel like the wheels are falling off. But for right now, he's matched moderately. I think Phil Hawes gets the win, even though he's minus 260. I don't like that. I don't trust that, but I would pick him.
We got Lauren Murphy taking on Lilia Shakirova. Lauren Murphy minus 240 favorite. Shakirova plus 200. I saw some talk about Shakirova being female Khabib, and you know me, I've got the fucking hat here.
She's from Uzbekistan, different.
Well, no, you know me. It's you say that, I kind of raise my eyebrows. I'm like, okay, let's see what we see here. I do like her entries into takedowns, her striking. There doesn't seem to be an ounce of power or anything stinging from it. She's fighting very, very low level of competition in these fights that she's doing. I just don't see the strength. And I think that's what this fight comes down to. How about what they're doing at the MMA lab? They're taking their strength and conditioning very, very seriously there. When you look at Lauren Murphy, you look at our boy Jared Cannonier.
He's got great genetics, man. Those tits he's had on him, those pecs have always been there.
Yeah.
Heavyweight, middleweight, dome. He's probably born with them shits. That guy is just a physical beast.
You go through Lauren Murphy's career, and she's always been underappreciated, undervalued. And I think she's really, really, really improved in the last couple of years. The only person to take her down in the last few fights was Romero Barella, and that was one takedown. Roxanne, people hate on her as well, but she's been able to secure takedowns against people, and she had nothing for Lauren Murphy. Was completely outstrength, and that's what I see here in this fight. I think this opened up a little bit wider, to be honest. I think Lauren Murphy was close to minus 300, and people just have the let's fade Lauren Murphy button programmed into their brain. This ain't the spot. I don't think that Lilia is nearly strong enough to the technique looks good, the entry into the takedown looks good, but the strength to finish that takedown or at least maintain position if she does get it to the ground, I don't think it's there. Lauren Murphy wins.
Yeah, okay, so I feel kind of the same way. I was looking at the tape on Lilia, I was like, damn, she's actually got good footwork. She likes to throw spinning attacks, spinning back fists, spinning back kicks, hook kicks, good right hook over the top. Not bad. The entries to the wrestling, on point.
Yeah, they are.
Doesn't follow through, doesn't cut an angle, does not chain wrestle, not female Khabib at all.
No.
But it's less she's really fast. She's really athletic. And then looking at it, she's predominantly always fought at 125. There's a few spots where she's fought at 132, 130, but generally 125. I worry about that size of Lauren Murphy and that grinding ability, because when you look at Lilia and who she's fought, absolutely nobody. When you look at Lauren Murphy and who she's fought, everybody and their mothers, man. Like, she is just one of the toughest girls in the division. She keeps going. You talked about Jared Cannonier having this late start. Oh, he's 36, and she's 37. She had a late start, man. Here's a girl that's a single mother, struggling in Alaska, same fucking place, ends up in Arizona in the MMA lab, and they've just put the tools together. It's like, hey, what are you good at? I'm really tough. I could work with that. And that's the thing, man. This is the girl that's never going to be...
take people out of the Arctic and put them in the desert, and they just become machines.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you put her in a world title fight in the UFC, is she going to win? No. If you put her in, the king of the truck stop, and she's taking on Bang Bang Betty Brown, you're fucking right. She is going to come through, because she's just so goddamn tough. Yep. And Betty Brown's tough as well, but I mean, come on. Laura Murphy just always finds that way. What I'm struggling, though, is that she's not very athletic. She's never been very athletic. She's very slow. And I feel like Lily is going to just be infinitely faster. I don't know that Lily stays to the game plan and stay to the outside, because she loves to engage. She loves to come through. She loves to clinch up. That's going to play towards Lauren Murphy. Now, experience all day, Lauren Murphy, whereas Lily is making her UFC debut, has absolutely fought nobody. She shows like split decision wins. If you look at those fights, I thought she won. But again, it's low-level competition, and you're kind of greasing through them. How are you going to take on Lauren Murphy?
Yep. The
key difference here is, though, you don't mind betting Lauren Murphy. Her versus Barb Honchak, that was her. She made it back to the UFC, plus 200 underdog, right? Her versus Senyara Eubanks, plus 170 underdog. Her versus Mara Barella, plus 165 underdog to Barella. She cashed on 2 of those tickets.
Yep.
Her versus Andrea Lee, a plus 230 underdog, where she cashed for you. And then her versus Roxanne Modafferi, minus 125. Like, wow.
Pick 'em, yeah.
Wow. But now they're trying to sell her to you for minus 240 over a girl who's going to be infinitely faster than her and has a couple of variables, some je ne sais quoi, some question marks that you don't know
I
about.
just don't see any sort of...
I would say pass. I think the move's pass. I
Fair.
don't have enough I don't have enough like faith in Lauren Murphy on the 240 to be like she
That's fair.
definitively goes and defeats this fighter that's got a lot of question marks. Whereas competition, that's a big downer. But she looks fast. She looks athletic. She looks tough. She looks strong. And she's 29, I believe. So she's not by any means some gonna get totally lost in the moment because she's a kid. Like, she should be a little more polished and on her way. But anyways, honestly, I think it's more of a crapshoot fight. I'd probably hit a pass on it.
We got Magomed Ankalaev taking on Ion Cutelaba. Ankalaev minus 330, Cutelaba plus 260. Obviously, these guys fought before. Maybe one of the worst stoppages as Cutelaba kind of played that he was a little bit stunned by one of the strikes that came from Ankalaev. Ref steps in, stops the fight. Rewatched that fight last night, though, and I think, me and you have broken down this fight like 3 times now. The rematch of it 3 times at this point, and with it getting canceled, like Cutelaba's got like COVID like twice during the last couple of months. I don't know.
Yeah, the price always sits the same.
Pretty much stays the same. We've broken down this fight a whole bunch, so we don't have to break it down all that much. Yeah, Ankalaev is landing the cleaner, straighter, better strikes. Cutelaba's game plan is I'm just gonna whale some like looping shots and hopefully one hits. That's a 80% to 20% proposition at best. Any day of the week, may not even be, because like who's really stunned Ankalaev? Nobody. The only time he's actually looked bad is he got caught in a triangle choke against Paul Craig right at the end of the fight. Otherwise, the guy looks like cast iron. The striking for him is much more cleaner, much more refined. I don't know what Cutelaba's game plan could be to change the course of what that fight was going to become. It was just him throwing. He's throwing hays, and hopefully one of these haymakers lands. Ankalaev, I've parlayed him already with Volkov. I've parlayed him with Khabib. I've parlayed Khabib and Volkov. Those are the plays that I'm sitting with right now. I was considering Lauren Murphy, but maybe I was considering it. I hadn't actually placed it. I do think that she wins, I think, on strength alone, but I understand the speed could be a problem. Maybe this ends up going to decision, and she just lands more strikes. So yeah, that's where my head's at so far on this card. What's your take on this fight?
Yeah, listen, honestly, I don't even want to waste too much time with it because it's always a waste of time. We broke it down on UFC 249, but the card got canceled. We broke it down on 252, and Cutelaba got COVID. We broke it down on UFC Fight Night 8, and Cutelaba again got COVID. Double COVID case. I'm just done with it. We picked Ankalaev all 3 times. Again, Ankalaev, again here. It was minus 330, I think, all 3 times.
I think it
definitely was the last time.
The
Maybe
first
not the
time
first
they
time.
fought, I think it was like
290.
minus 200 plus 160 or something like that.
So the first time they fight, it's kind of like, oh, this is an interesting fight.
Because we didn't know what it's going to look like.
It's minus 210 for Ankalaev. Now, the narrative going into the first fight is Ankalaev's, I wouldn't say a better wrestler. Here's the difference, is that he could do it for 15 minutes, right? He is a good wrestler that can continue this pace. If he doesn't get you down initially, he'll wear on you against the cage and then work you to the ground. His striking, ever improving. Whereas Udon Cutelaba, he's a European Sambo champion, but holy shit. By the way, you've never met a Moldovan person who's a weakling. They're all super strong. This guy is super strong. He fits the mold, no doubt about it. But again, he's so wild. He's so reckless. He can't keep that going for more than 5 minutes. Now, listen, he's the kind of guy you want in your DK your DK team.
Yeah, if you're playing 150
sure.
lineups, you're going to have some exposure because if that does clip at, $7,300,
He's gonna score
come
over 100
through and he's
points.
probably going to be pretty low owned, and
Yeah.
it would be a leverage play off of Ankalaev. I don't
He
play
can wrestle.
150 lineups, so I'll be playing Ankalaev and not Cutelaba
And the guy
myself.
can wrestle, he can strike, he can grapple. The problem is that he relies a lot more on strength than he does on technique. And he has technique, that's the sad part, but he's just so much on strength. Even at the weigh-ins, he was painting himself green. He comes out fired up. It looks like he's juiced to the tits. He may have been juiced to the tits at one point. I like him on entertainment value.
Yeah.
But outside of him landing that big right hand in the first round, I don't know.
There's
With
no game plan
Ankalaev,
there.
yeah. And the other thing with Magomed Ankalaev is like he's the 205 gatekeeper, really. I think nobody talks about him when they talk about the title talks because of the loss to Paul Craig and because he hasn't really been fighting the highest profile of guys maybe, but he's only 28 years old. So this time that he's not in the spotlight, only going to benefit him. He's just getting better and better. His striking better and better. And again, that was the narrative going into the first fight. With the better wrestling, the better cardio, Ankalaev will probably have to survive the first round, take him into deep waters. What does he do, Paul? He goes out there and beats the shit, for my money's worth, beats the shit out of Cutelaba. He head kicks him 3 times. Is Cutelaba as hurt as the referee thought? No. Bad stoppage. Definitely playing possum. But like, had he landed a punch at that point in the fight? Like, no, he was losing. And I don't think that if the ref didn't jump in right there, what was he going to do? Throw a couple more overhand rights, couple more fastballs? It looks like he's throwing a fastball when the guy punches. He's all power all the time. It's not a good move against Ankalaev. Now, it's hard to fade Cutelaba because he embodies that power and that finishing ability and that wild man spirit. But you've seen him lose to lesser men than Magomed Ankalaev, and you're going to see him lose to Magomed Ankalaev here. So give me the Russian. I like it, 330. You can't. He doesn't mind going to decision. He would gladly take a decision. That's what I like about him. Doesn't rush stuff. Take the decision. But Cutelaba doesn't really fight to decisions. He has been to decision, but he's more so, go out on his shield to the death type of play. So I could see Ankalaev actually submitting him down the stretch as well once he gets tired and gets into a compromised position on the ground. Either way, Ankalaev, and yeah, he'll end up being parlay material, but we all know we're going to sweat it up until they raise our boys' hands because Cutelaba is a shit-eating wild man.
Yeah, it should be fun either way.
Yeah.
I
It'll be
don't
fun.
think the
It'll
game
be fun.
plan's going to change for Ryan Cutelaba all that much because the guy's struggled with his gas he's not going to be able to endure a wrestling clinch fest. He'll be too tired. And Ankalaev, I think, has the gas to go 3 rounds. Cutelaba has not shown us over his career if he gets into those types of exchanges. Like, the guy is a Moldovan wrestling champion. He never really wrestles. Why? Because wrestling is exhausting. And he doesn't have that in his tool shed.
And let's say worst case scenario, he takes him down, and the guy from the Malarkey fight, the referee, comes over and goes, get up, what you doing? It's just like, oh my God. Then all of a sudden, Team Russia on the sideline goes, and says, oh, you know what? Stay on the ground. What the fuck was I thinking? I thought you were from New Zealand. My bad. Yeah, go ahead. I mean,
this is all coming.
He's going to get a favorable rub if it goes that far and if it gets into that position. So, yeah, I got Magomed Ankalaev.
Yeah, it's Stefan Struve taking on Tai Tuivasa. Straight pick 'em, basically. Minus 115, minus 105. Where's your head at here? I mean, the general consensus is...
Is there a general consensus? Hit me with the
there's
general consensus.
There's no
What is
consensus,
it?
but like the general idea is Tai Tuivasa, when he does land, he lands big. Stefan Struve has had very, very significant durability issues over the years. Struve obviously has the intangibles of being like 7 foot, super, super long reach, should be able to keep him at the end of his punches. If Struve, I don't ever like betting on somebody who's that tall trying to get wrestling, but like he should have a massive grappling advantage against Tai Tuivasa here as well. But this is a high variance, low end heavyweight fight. I don't have a hot take either side on this. I'll take who I believe is the better overall fighter in Stefan Struve, but I'm not throwing any cash on it.
Yeah, so Tai Tuivasa has just been an absolute train wreck when you consider everything prior to coming to the UFC from him looked awful. Woof. This guy is very athletic. He played like semi-professional rugby. Big boy, very athletic, Samoan.
Likes himself a shoey.
Yeah, he is the invent. No, he didn't invent it, but I mean, he's kind of who brought it into the mainstream for guys like us. But anyways, Tai Tuivasa, regional scene Tai, does not look good whatsoever. Comes to the UFC, gets Rashad Coulter, Cyril Asker, and then actually beat Andrei Arlovsky. But it's just like they had a match pretty easy. He looked pretty good coming into the UFC. He runs up a 3-0 record. What you've seen since then is just like abysmal. The Junior Dos Santos fight, he looked actually decent in the first round. Gets punched up in the second. Got caught, no problem. Young, developing, gonna get better. The Blagojev fight, tough fight for a young kid. Tough fight bouncing off a loss. Tough fight in general. But he doesn't let his hands go. He doesn't really do anything. It's a very poor performance from him, and rightfully so. He loses the decision. It's the Sergey Spivak fight, which is now a very big concern. Because, again, Spivak kind of mirrors Stefan Struve in some ways. He's 6'7" and would like to grapple. Stefan Struve 7 feet tall, but would like to grapple in this spot. If he does get the fight to the ground, he's going to kill Tai Tuivasa. But when you look at anything from Tai in his training camp, it's a fucking joke. It's always been a joke, right? He's drinking Chewies back home. They're eating at the barbecue. He's hitting mitts. It's like the Mark Hunt style of training camp. Yeah, we'll hit some mitts. And when the fight starts, I'll punch this bloke in the mouth and he'll go down. It's like, well, what's plan B? It's like,
there is no plan B.
Well, what do you mean plan B? Like, what are you talking about? I'm going to punch this bloke in the mouth and he's going to go down. It's like, well, what if he takes you down? Probably punch him in the mouth and then he'll go down. Like, there's just nothing beyond it, right? And that's Tai. And you
eat whatever you want. He knows that he's going to stay under 265 pounds.
But so physically, he looks soft, and when you see him in there, he moves like the wind. Like, he's a very mobile heavyweight. But he can't carry it beyond the first round because the size probably. But it just you're putting shitty gas in your car. You're putting shitty gas in the engine, and all of a sudden you run out of gas, right? He's gone to American Kickboxing Academy now, right? And he spent a couple months there. He's not fought in a year since the Spivak fight. He's only 27 years old. That's what he needed. He needed to go to a camp where they were going to tell him, what are you doing? This is how you got to do it. And being in camp with Khabib and being in camp with everybody's motivated and everyone's ready and they're putting together a world-class game plan, this guy's just got to get some of that to rub off on him. And he punches Stefan Struve the fuck out. Because Stefan Struve cannot take the punch.
No.
Because he's 7 feet tall, he stands so straight in the air. And Tai Tuivasa, if he's got anything, he could punch that bloke in the mouth. And that's what's going to happen. So
you got Tai.
I think Tai knocks him out. Now, because Tai's on a 3-fight losing streak, and I had Junior, I think I took him over Blagoy and Spivak. So he's been letting me down. I'm willing.
7,900 as a DraftKings.
I'm willing to take a shoey bet on him. I'm willing to take a shoey bet on him.
I don't want to.
I don't want
to bet a shoey on Stefan Struve's freaking chin at this point in his career.
Right, but the benefit here is that once Khabib loses and you've got no hair on your upper lip, then the shoey won't get stuck in your mustache, Paul. Anyways, I'm going to take Tai Tuivasa, and again, it's going to be a sweat. He's going to be fucking sweating walking down to the ring, too. Wayne's could actually be telling, because if he's put in a good training camp, you're going to be able to see some improvements, at least physically, if he looks like a big fat slob. Not that telling, because he sometimes looks like a big fat slob and then performs, right? He's a big boy. That's how he's built. He's never going to have abs. That's fine. But, again, he's young enough and he's athletic enough that he's just got to land the one shot, man. Struve will topple right over, so give me Tai, and then to pursue that, you probably go Tai inside the distance, Tai by knockout, and $7,900 on DK looks very tempting.
Fair. We got Casey Kenney taking on Nathaniel Wood. Casey Kenney minus 190 favored. Nathaniel Wood plus 165. I feel like this is a Casey Kenney fan club around here these days.
Making people money, man. People like him.
It's hard. I mean, the amount of output that guy threw, the amount of kicks. His gas tank is elite level here, and that is the big issue that I've seen with Nathaniel Wood, is that he can come out hot. He can come out, throwing some crisp strikes, and he's got some power behind it. His grappling is decent. But I haven't seen the same type of cardio, and in this division, they're fighting at catchweight 140, so
140, yeah.
That's kind of interesting. Do you know what happened there? Why? It's just kind of an agreement, like, hey, let's not.
Yeah,
cut.
well,
We're
it was
around the same size, so why?
It was added
why
to the
not cut
card
it?
fairly late. Casey Kenney fought 3 weeks ago. Nathaniel Wood didn't have a fight book, and they kind of put it on the card late. When I saw 140, I was like, ooh, that favors Nathaniel Wood, being that Casey Kenney fought at 125, right? Is not a giant 135er by any stretch. Him at 140. Pictures of him online, he looks big. But come on, he's little Casey Kenney. But then when you actually look at the size and everything in comparison to Nathaniel Wood, Nathaniel was a smaller man. He's a career bantamweight, yeah. But he's an inch shorter.
Just never cut down to 125.
Yeah, well, okay, when you look at him fight, he looks big. He looks like, geez, this is a big bantamweight. He looks way bigger than Casey Kenney, but like actual physical size, when you see them next to each other, it's like,
They're
not.
about the same.
Yeah. So,
I don't know. I would side with cardio here. From what I've seen from Casey Kenney, he threw like 1,000 kicks in that last fight. We've seen him be able to use grappling. Honestly, the guy's super, super talented at all facets of the game. Durability seems to check out. I don't know how you click on Nathaniel Wood, but people love betting on Nathaniel Wood. Like the line is kind of actually came down. Like I think I saw Kenney as a little bit of a bigger favorite, and a little bit of action has been moving across the markets on Nathaniel Wood.
Yeah,
I've never been a Nathaniel Wood
Yeah.
guy. Casey Kenney's the pick. I just think I don't know exactly how this fight's gonna look, but I think that Kenney has an advantage just about in every aspect of the game.
Yeah, so it just really comes down to the price tag. At 165, Nathaniel Wood just looks really appealing because he's got a lot of the advantages that Casey Kenney has. He figures to be in a good fight with him. The one issue that he has is durability. He has a durability issue. He doesn't take a punch particularly well. And that being that he's a prodigy of Brad One Punch Pickett, it's all offense. It's no defense. He doesn't particularly move his head off the center line. He doesn't really bring his hands back to his chin. He doesn't protect himself. He puts offense on you and breaks you down. That'll only get you so far. Now that you're taking on better guys that hit a lot harder, they're going to expose you. His losses prior to coming to the UFC, kind of in spots where he got chin checked a little bit. It's when he comes to the UFC, 4-1 record, looking good. The John Dodson fight, I thought he won the first 2 rounds. They're close, but I thought he won the first 2 rounds. The third round, he just eats a flash shot, drops down. John Dodson pounces on him really quick. Maybe it's an early stoppage, maybe it's not. But it brings back to, like, you know what? He is hittable. He gets hit in all of these spots. It's whether you've got the power to do something about it. Kenney doesn't have the power. Kenney's knocked out one guy with a knee straight up the middle in the LFA fight 2 years ago, and then he's got a stoppage loss due to a cut. There was like 20 seconds left in the fight, and it was a cut stoppage. That's all. So he doesn't have that knockout power. Maybe he doesn't knock out Nathaniel Wood, then why can't Nathaniel Wood hang with him? Volume's all Casey Kenney. You've seen his last fight against Haile Alatang. 134 significant strikes landed, never looks fatigued, never even breaks a sweat. But flip side to that, at least Wood went out there against John Castellaneta and landed the same thing. He landed over 100 significant strikes. Cardio didn't look like it's an issue. The difference was that John Castellaneta was hitting him. Only hit him 34 times or something, but he was hitting him. The spots were there. Nathaniel Wood was taking on somebody who's just not in his level, whereas Casey Kenney is in his level. So what I've noticed out of Wood is that even though he's a striker, kind of likes to strike, entertaining, he's got a really good submission game. You remember once upon a time, Johnny Eduardo was painting up a masterpiece on him, and then I think Johnny Eduardo bet on Nathaniel Wood by second-round submission, so he shot his neck into a Darce choke inexplicably. I'll never understand that.
I was so upset.
He's the Nova Yinyao striking coach, and he's piecing this kid up, and he shoots a takedown. I'll never understand that one. But Nathaniel Wood has a good grappling game, so now you're seeing him want to grapple a lot more. And he's going out in all these spots, and he's trying to wrestle. And that's what's kind of getting him some wins. He can strike enough to set up some wrestling, kind of big for the division, as we talked about, likes to wear on guys, decent cardio, that's all fine. Those advantages are almost all nullified against Casey Kenney.
Yep.
Wrestle collegiately, better wrestler, judo black belt, really good at staying on his feet. If you do take him down, he gets back up. Ask Merab Dvalishvili, he took him down 12 times. Casey gets back up. His cardio is awesome. He's one of
Merab
these guys.
is such a tank.
Yeah,
at
Merab's a different level.
135.
Casey's.
I mean, he outgrappled Ray Borg.
Yeah, and it was a debut on short notice against a former title challenger. And you just see what this guy does. He's a world champion at 125 pounds and 135 pounds for LFA. And yeah, you can look at him losing on Contender Series against Adam Antolin. Listen, that's a journey of a young fighter. Now he's 15-2-1. He's improving every time out.
Yep.
Just fought 3 weeks ago. It was a little bit worrisome because try kicking anything in this world 150 times.
Yeah.
Tell me your foot don't hurt.
His legs gotta be sore.
It would have to be. But no, he was very eager to sign up for this fight, very happy to go to it. And I honestly do think that he's just going to land a little bit more than Wood. His punches are going to do a little more damage than Wood. It's appealing for the judges where Wood hits Casey Kenney and Casey Kenney just rolls with him, man. He's got a really good chin on him. Casey Kenney lands on Wood. And Casey Keeney's not a power puncher, but you're gonna see Wood react to it. You're gonna see him not like it. You're gonna see him look to engage a little bit more with his wrestling. If Casey Keeney's able to shut that down, I see him prevailing with the win. It's the minus 190 that I don't like. So I think people are looking at taking a shot on underdog. They see 165. This actually is going to be a close fight. I think Keeney wins the decision, but it's going to be a close fight. But that's why there's probably some money rolling in Wood. I actually do agree with that. However, my pick is going to be Casey Keeney. And I think you go with him by decision. There's such a track record of him by decisions. He's going to dust one of these fools eventually. Maybe Wood's the guy, but I think that you look to improve that price and you take him by decision. Haile Alatangs, Oregon's would have been minced meat. Would have been beef stew, And he stood there. He took him.
That guy's
Super
durability personified.
Super
watching
tough,
that
super
fight.
tough.
It's like, how the hell do you
Can
take all
Wood
that?
go through that kind of beating
No.
and come out on the other
I don't
side?
think so.
I don't know. I don't think very few people could probably take that many kicks to the gut and come out to the other side. But there is a track record in Casey Keeney in that he's legitimately only knocked out one of his 15 wins, and one was a cut stoppage. So it could happen. It's MMA, but logic would dictate.
Interesting fight from DraftKings when we get to that is that, I mean, the amount of volume that these guys can throw, they're obviously in play.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to the next one. We've got Alex Cowboy Oliveira taking on Shavkat Rakhmonov. Basically a straight pick 'em. Ever so slight favorite is Alex Cowboy Oliveira, minus 115, minus 105. Rakhmonov. This line has been moving. I think Rakhmonov was like plus 145 earlier in the week, and people, they're taking the Cody Saftic strategy of if it ends in OV, if it's good enough for me, which shocks me that you're picking against the GOAT, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Who
lured
also
into the price.
Lured into the price. Well, you better.
We'll see.
Your upper lip is going to be bare in a few days there, bud. I don't know. I watched a little bit of Shavkat Rakhmonov, and I know he's got like all these first and second round finishes. I'm not that all impressed with what I've seen so far on tape. I've got a little bit more to watch, but where's your head at on this one?
Yeah, okay, so he's a 100% finisher. He's finished all of his wins, and that where I'm a little bit weary is that like Alex Oliveira is no slouch by no means. He's got a lot of fights in the UFC. He's fought very high caliber guys. If you don't go out there and get the finish on him, like what's going to happen? Also, he's been going to his wrestling a lot more, Cowboy Oliveira, and he's a big guy. Get a hold of them, grind on them, use your strength, try to grapple them, win the fight. Perfect. He's fighting good game plans. Don't mind it. With Rakhmonov, it's like he's going out there to get the kill, right? It's two different styles. Once you come to the UFC, you usually have to adapt your style because you're not going to go get the kill every time out. But I like what's out of him is that he's got a killer instinct. Now, I believe it was this Faradun Odolov fight, Battle of the Nomads 10. He gets fucking dropped hard, man. But he perseveres. He comes back through and he just never stops. He keeps going. That's going to be a wicked bad problem for Cowboy Oliveira, who is looking these days like he's like about one round into him. Now, I don't blame the guy. He got 7 kids. I could not imagine having 7 kids and attempting to do anything, let alone train for a professional fight. But not looking good. Sure, it's Gunnar Nelson. Sure, it's Mike Perry. Sure, it's Nicholas Dalby. But he gets back on track with Max Griffin and Peter Sabata, but he doesn't. He's not looking good. His cardio's not great. Those are good, favorable matchups for him. It's not there. His striking used to be pretty dynamic. He had the spinning wheel kick. He had big shots in his hands. He used to be able to, at 155, huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
170.
He just doesn't have that physicality. So maybe he's trying to get to his grappling, but Rakhmonov's hard to take down. Beyond taking him down, he's kind of hard to hold down. So now, if Alex Oliveira comes out there and struggles for a round or two, Rakhmonov's going to eat him up. He's going to eat him up down the stretch. And Rakhmonov was supposed to debut.
Better live betting opportunity here.
Definitely a better live betting opportunity. But they signed Rakhmonov to fight on, it was that ESPN 29, it was in Kazakhstan. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Anyways, it's 7 months ago, right? So he signed to the UFC. He knows he's getting his debut. Yeah, we can talk about he hasn't fought in 16 months. Fair. That's a problem. But he's known he's having his UFC debut. He's training. He's in camp perfect. He's going to take on Bartosz Fabinski. Damn. Talk about a guy that's only going to look to take him down. But the event gets canceled due to coronavirus. Then he's supposed to take on Ramazan Ameev. The fight gets canceled. Then on this card, he's taking on Elizu Zaleski dos Santos. Yeah, mouthful. Of course. Jigs. It's like, god damn. They're not giving him no easy fights. Bartosz, Ramazan Ameev, and Zaleski dos Santos? The fuck? They got faith in this kid. And this kid's accepting these fights because he likes it. He's only 25 years old. He's eager. He wants to get at it. Alex Oliveira has cardio issues on a good day. Yeah. Him coming in on short notice replacing Zaleski, he's got one round in him. He's got to go out there and put out Rakhmonov in the first, or Rakhmonov takes him. It was 145, and it was a no-brainer. Now it's a pick'em, and it is a pick'em fight. It's a pick'em fight that if it's heads or tails, and you tell me tails pays 145, I'm going to take tails.
Sure.
But now you're actually paying 50-50 both sides. So listen, it's going to be a greaser, but I've got Shaft.
I'll be watching this one closely after what you just kind of said there.
Yeah, and for $7,300 on DK, like
to get in
DK play.
if he survives the early onslaught from Cowboy.
Yeah, he's got a 100% finish ratio, and he's $7,300 on DK.
Okay, we got Da-Ung Jung taking on Sam Alvey. Da-Ung Jung minus 345 favorite, plus 285 for Smiling Sam. Smiling Sam's on what, like a 4-fight losing streak at this point?
Yeah.
Up at 205. I mean, the guy is just completely outsized. He's 6'2" to Da-Ung Jung, like 6'4", much thicker, bigger frame. And we've seen the historic, legendary durability of Sam Alvey kind of started to go to the wayside as well. This was actually on like best fight odds. This was one of the you can set up like notifications for when like lines get released. And this was one of the ones that I set it up for. And they opened it at minus 600. And I was just like, who's telling you? Man. Who's telling you where my mind's at? Because I wanted to fade Smiling Sam, but minus 600 was just kind of absurd. Those prices come down quite a bit. Obviously, it's a wide number, but I actually think Da-Ung Jung, from what we've seen from him, this guy looks like he's got potential. I don't know if it's like world championship potential. I'm not saying that, but I think he's got the ceiling is definitely a lot higher than what we see from Sam Alvey. I think he rolls here. I guess the big issue is we don't really know about his gas tank. If we go really
we can
deep.
speculate. We can speculate that Cody Saftic put the fucking works to him, and it's Cody Saftic. But he pushed one hell of a pace. I'd like if you didn't have good cardio, you wouldn't have styled on him in the later rounds. But I know what you're saying. He's a little unproven. 2 fights in the UFC.
But Sam just backs up to the cage. He tries to land one singular punch. That's what he's done for ages. And at 205, that power doesn't transfer like it used to. So Da-Ung Jung wins. The problem with this is that minus 345, kind of unproven. I did like his last fight, like the slip 1-2. We're talking about like what, a couple weeks ago. That was against John Phillips? Who was Da-Ung Jung's last fight? I can't remember off the top of my head right now.
Da-Ung Jung, he beat Cody Saftic and then he beat Barrio? Was it?
Was Marc-Andre Barrio? It was the first round finish. And it was a nice 1-2.
No, sorry. Mike Rodriguez. He dropped. I was thinking of.
Sorry, it was that fight. Sorry,
he dropped Mark Rodriguez.
But his 1-2 there, it was actually quite nice how he set it up. I think the guy's got real potential. Minus 345 is the price is big, and the problem is like trying to bet like a knockout prop here is just like Sam Alvey's chin historically pretty legendary. So I don't know if the value's there on that as well. But I think he rolls here. I just can't in good faith put any money on Sam Alvey at this point. I think he's cooked.
Yeah, well, see, that's exactly it. So if you knew Sam Alvey personally, there was a time where you would take your kids over to his house and be like, go see Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam, I know. And he plays with the kids. They're great. And now you would have to introduce the kids. This is 205, Uncle Sam. And it's just a different guy, man. All of the weapons that he had as a middleweight are just off the table. He's really hard to take down. Like, his wrestling is not very good offensively. But defensively, man, maybe it's because he backs up to the cage. Maybe it's all the time he spent at Team Quest and Dan Henderson's Ultimate Training Facility. Maybe it's all these different things. The bottom line is he is tough to take down. And he's furthermore very tough to hold down. His power, sweet power. His chin, cast iron. But that was all at 185. Mind you, and this is important to note, Sam Alvey was on The Ultimate Fighter once upon a time at 170 pounds. Okay? Comes to the UFC, fills out to 185, decent size 185er. Big power. But Paul, time and time again, you and I sit here and we talk about Sam Alvey relies so much on the power. He does not throw punches. He will not let his hands go. This is incredible because Sam Alvey's had 18 fights in the UFC. The most in his UFC debut. He landed 82 significant strikes against Tom Watson, okay? In 17 fights since then, the highest he's ever scored was 57. 63 against Alex Nicholson. Now he's fought Kevin Casey and Eric Spicely and Alex Nicholson and Nate Marquardt and Talis Latis and Rashad Evans and Ramazan Ami, and they're all going to decision. But he never lands more than 50, 60 significant strikes. That's his problem. He never lets his hands go. There's not enough output. In the Ryan Spann fight, he lasts long enough to make it interesting in the third round when Spann gassed out. But that's kind of all he's got right now, is he's got to rely on you gassing out. As far as 205-pound Sam Alvey goes, by the way, as you mentioned, he's lost his last 4. He actually won his first 2 in the division, so he's 2-4 at 205. But he beats Marcin Pacquiao, runs right into the punch. That's his only knockout at 205 pounds. That one, where the man ran straight into the KO blow. Twice. Second one really put him out. Then he's a squeaker of a split decision over Jean Vellante, where he doesn't let his hands go, but scored a couple knockdowns. Otherwise, he got outworked severely. And then Nogueira, of all people, knocks him out. Jimmy Crute, 22 years old, knocks him out. Kletsin Abreu just holds him and beats him up, and Ryan Spann beats him up. That's all at 205. His best days are long gone behind him. How does he match up in this particularly spot? Bad. Okay, so as we talked about, he fought at 170 once upon a time. Da Jung was fighting at 225 prior to coming to the UFC. He routinely fought in these open weight contests in Korea and Japan. The guy's a big guy, 6'4". He's only 26 years old, Paul. He's filling out that frame and he's getting better. And you see him in the UFC. His debut against his debut against Ibrahimov, man, is it ever sloppy early. But beyond that, it shows this guy's improving. He lasts. He takes all those shots. It looks like he's hurt. It looks like he's severely hurt. It looks like he's tired. But he perseveres. Good gut check performance. Now with Mike Rodriguez on paper is a way better striker than Da Jung, but he clips him with that right hand. And you know what? You can't take much from that fight because it happened. It was a minute, whatever. He catches him. But you see the power. You see that he's working on his grappling. You see that he's improving altogether. You see stuff from him online. Great shape. Good size for the division. Why would the UFC bring in an 0-4 fight losing streak Sam Alvey on relatively short notice?
To put a little shine on a prospect.
Yeah, I think Da Jung's a marketable guy, being that he's Korean. You'd love to have more fighters from that part of the world because, you're trying to have marketable stars in every continent, really. Beyond that, again, as I talked about, 26, trains at Korean top team, a very, very good gym.
Asia's probably where, fan events is going to open up again first after we get through all this.
Yeah, and with Sam, no offense to him, but, it's too much sit with his back against the cage, with his hands up, smiling, looking to counterpunch. It's just too much of that. If the power translates to 205, maybe he lands a counter right or a counter left and knocks out Jung. Maybe. Could be. It's MMA, of course. But I'm not banking on that. Da Jung's 2 pro losses. He got key locked by Roque Martinez, who's now a 265-pound heavyweight, and Jun Soo Lim beat him by majority decision 5 years ago. Never been knocked out. I don't know that I can just bet on Sam Alvey to land a counterpunch that he doesn't even throw. So, yeah. I know my boy Clint's on Sam Alvey, and I think if it opened up at 600 and you got a very big price on Alvey, then by all means, I think people were getting him at minus 310, minus 320. He's down to 285 now, but, I can't in good conscience go with Sam Alvey. You got to be shot for Alvey to beat you. You look at his wins, they're over shot fighters. Da Jung is certainly not a shot fighter, and I think this will be his coming out party, actually.
All right, we move on down the card. We got Miranda Maverick taking the biggest favorite on the card. Oh, my God. Minus 430 favorite against Liana Jojua, plus 345. Jojua looks pretty awful in her last fight. Obviously, she gets the submission win against Diana Belbita. That fight was, I rewatched that to, kind of make sense of this
why Belbita
line
took her down?
No, of
I still can't make
why
sense.
Maverick was is such a big favorite here.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Jojua looks horrible. Most of that fight takes place against the cage. The one thing she is good at, and Belbita, I don't know what she was thinking. Let's push this up to against the cage, get this fight to the ground. Once the fight went to the ground, that's the way Jojua wins fights, is by submission. That's what you go through her entire record. It's just she wins by submission. Yeah. I mean, she doesn't look very strong. The technique isn't anything remarkable. It was enough to get her through that last fight. Miranda Maverick, never been submitted in her career, but I'm not going to lie, man. Watching her versus Pearl Gonzalez, I was not getting in on a minus 430 favorite in this spot. The only thing I could even consider, and I haven't bet it yet, would be Jojua by submission round 1. I see out there for 14-1. Just for the brand.
Wow.
For the brand, kind of.
Sure.
But
sure.
I haven't played it yet. Maybe you can talk me off the ledge, but that would be a small little punt, if anything. But otherwise, I really don't want any part of this. Because I think Jojua's pretty awful and doesn't really belong at the top level. And Maverick didn't really show me anything from the fights that I've watched to make me think that she should be a minus 500 favorite at the top level.
Yeah, well, honestly, I completely agree with her being the favorite. I have my reluctancy to put minus 4-3 in her as well. Because, yeah, she's 23 years old. She's making her UFC debut. It's kind of one of those spots where it's like you could see things going wrong. You could see the armbar from guard repeating itself. You could just see a bad transition that leads to a back take or a submission. Yeah, a lot of bad variables for a young fighter making her debut. But Maverick seems to have the skill advantage almost everywhere, maybe except for maybe not that pure grappling, but she's a much better wrestler than Jojua is. She's a much better striker than Jojua is. She goes in there with a good game plan of just keeping this fight standing and boxing her up. She's going to defeat her. It's whether she goes out there and gets antsy, takes her down, plays some of the guard work, and gets caught with something that's going to be the problem. Maverick, again, 23 years old, loses to Deanna Bennett, and this is her last loss, but she loses to Deanna Bennett, it's like a year and a half ago, right? Then she enters that Invicta one-night tournament, where she wins the one-night tournament. She beats Victoria Leonardo in the first round. She beats Shayna Young in the second round. In the third round, one-night tournament, fights Deanna Bennett again, the last girl that beat her, the Ultimate Fighter veteran, the Invicta veteran, former world champion, girl that's older in her career, very savvy veteran, good wrestler. And she chokes her out, third round, takes her into deep waters, chokes her out. One-night tournament. Here's a 22-year-old girl competing 3 times in one night. Man, you're seeing the evolution. You're seeing the development. You're seeing the growth. Then the Pearl Gonzalez fight, yeah, not exactly a great fight, but it's 5 rounds. You've seen the cardio go through as well. Meanwhile with Jojua's kind of a half fraud, right? I would say half fraud. She pulls off this big upset over Marina Makatina for Fight Nights Global. Marina ends up signed to Bellator and is just no good. That was a majority decision, bad fight, not anything that you can hold. So it's like, okay, she got no notable wins. Okay, fight Sarah Moras, UFC debut. She's up to 135. I get it. Not really in her natural weight class. She had been fighting at 135, but she got controlled by Sarah Moras. She got out-grappled by Moras, and then Moras eventually TKO'd her on the ground, Paul. That's a very bad sign. Sarah Moras not one to TKO people, but absolutely just takes her down and has her way. Jojua's only path is the submission off her back. That's the only way she wins. If you're not pulling it off against Sarah Moras or looking competitive against Sarah Moras, it's a problem. But you know what? It's 135. Let's drop her down to 125. Balbita threw one punch, landed one punch, and it was a hell of a punch. And then for whatever reason, just dragged Jojua to the ground and got submitted. If Maverick doesn't
her up against
do
the
that,
cage, and it's just
it was
like,
a bad move.
The announcers were even
move.
saying, they're like, "What? I feel like she should probably hang out at range." Like, I don't know. I don't know if her corner's like yelling at her. I know that she's trained by
Crewellin.
Yeah, Crewellin.
I don't know what the game plan was in that you should have had a striking advantage on her, but as soon as she went in there, she went into grappling mode. With Miranda Maverick, I think she can keep this in striking mode and just beat Jojua standing. If she needs to take the fight to the ground, she can. If she needs to use her wrestling to keep the fight standing, she can. She should be able to dictate where the fight takes place. It's just I'm always worried about these. I talked to you. Sub 25-year-old prospects, especially UFC debut.
They just go into tunnel vision mode, and all of a sudden they end up on the ground and armbar from guard.
Because it's like, oh shit, whenever I face adversity in the gym, I just go to my wrestling, right? I just go to this one thing that I do well. Whereas like Jojua, it's like, she's fought in Russia against Sambo champions. She's got a good armbar as well. She's got good grappling. She's going to have a little bit of a size advantage. She's, further along in her career development-wise. Where are they headed in their careers? Yeah, Maverick's going up. Maverick could be a title challenger someday. She's only 23. She needs these spots to improve and get better. Show us what she's got. Whereas like Jojua is like, if Jojua wins this one, you're almost guaranteed to fade her in her next fight. Like I don't know that she's a factor in this division at any point. But no. I got Maverick. It's just 230. It's like you're betting someone who should be good down the road. But like, what about right now? Right, because I'm betting it right now. So
is she winning 85% of the time?
It's wins MMA.
Probably.
Does anybody win 80% of the time? Wins MMA? No.
Yeah, it's a risky proposition trying to lay that number. Maybe Miranda Maverick. That's a mouthful for me to say. Maybe her inside the Jojua is legit awful, but it's kind of more of like a brand. I'll end up with a little Skrilla.
Jojua's low key hot.
I'll end up with a little Skrilla on Jojua first round sub.
Yeah, fair. You want to talk about props? Let's talk about this next one.
Joel Alvarez takes on Alexander Yakovlev, -155 Alvarez, +135. I like props. Tell me about the prop.
Okay, so low key, I think I'm going to take the dog here and go with Alexander Yakovlev.
Okay.
We'll talk about that.
This isn't a
The
rap
prop
battle.
will be, no, I know. If it was, I would surely take Alvarez.
Free money.
Yeah, Yakovlev, the rapper. Thunder from Down Under. Here's another one for you.
Thunder of the North.
Right. What do you think his name is? What do you think his actual name is?
Who?
Alexander Yakovlev.
He has a different name?
I know. His actual name's Sultan Takayev.
What?
And I'm fucked up. Yeah. So what do you know about this guy? Apparently nothing. Alexander Yakovlev he's going to have a big wrestling advantage here. When you look at Alvarez, he cannot wrestle. He cannot wrestle at all. Comes to the UFC, he's got a very unproven record as far as the regional scene goes. I just want to talk about the Damir Ismagulov fight. So now you're taking on Damir. You probably can't take him down even if you wanted to, but he attempts 0 takedowns. Here's a guy who's a Spanish BJJ champion. He's got 100% finish ratio, loves the submissions, never attempts one single takedown against Ismagulov. His striking, very robotic, very green, in development, but no good. Ismagulov cruises on a 30-27, great. The fight with Danilo Belluardo. Here's somebody, an Italian wrestler, shouldn't be in the UFC, not any good. He takes him down in the first round, and he controls him very easily. I mean, here we got Joel Alvarez's submission ace, not doing anything off his back. No submissions off his back. His takedown defense, no good. 25 seconds left in the first round. Alvarez throws up his hips, throws into a triangle. Looks like he's working with the sequence. Maybe if there was more time, great. But Belluardo is gassed, man. He should not be in the UFC to begin with. He's a very low-level talent. He's gassed after 5 minutes. In the second round, he comes out gassed. Alvarez pounces on him with the strikes, which was good to see. And Belluardo just literally falls into a takedown again. The takedown defense does not check out. The Joe Duffy fight, Joe Duffy takes him down is the reason why he got caught in the guillotine choke, right? He shoots himself into the double leg. But again, Alvarez not even really trying to fight these takedowns. And why Joe Duffy, the pro boxer, with a significant striking advantage, decided to shoot his neck into a double leg just remains one of life's great mysteries. I don't fucking know, but he did. With Alexander Yakovlev, his problem is he throws something like two significant strikes per minute. Like it's so low. So honestly, Joel Alvarez is not a good striker, but you see improvements. He's a little better from the Ismagulov fight to the Belluardo fight. He's a little bit better from the Belluardo fight for the Joe Duffy fight. He's only 27. He'll look better from the Joe Duffy fight. He needs to keep this fight standing and strike. Now, he'd love to get on top of Yakovlev, but he doesn't shoot takedowns. And Yakovlev is a much better wrestler. But what I do think is Yakovlev is going to take him down. And whereas this guy's so good with his grappling, not off his back. He doesn't got great submissions off his back. You also factor in Yakovlev fought at 170 pounds, fucking went the distance with Damian Maia, Went the distance with Kamaru Usman. Did get submitted by Zach Cummings. But come on, Zach Cummings is huge, man. He used to fight at 205, used to fight at 185, back fighting at 185. At 170 is a big boy.
He was monster.
Yakovlev
At 170.
drops down from 170 to 55. And now he's 1-1 at 55, but he has not looked bad, Paul. So he gets the win over Alex da Silva. He lost the first round. He got his guillotine in the second round. The Roosevelt Roberts fight, he's about a hair away from winning that fight. Does he not get swept in the third round and get on a botched takedown? He wins that fight. It's 1-1 going into the third. Roosevelt Roberts hits him with some good punches, but Yakovlev perseveres. Yakovlev scores takedowns. Yakovlev grinds on him. I'm worried he's 36.
So what's the prop?
Okay, the prop is not Yakovlev. The prop is Joel Alvarez. I know. It's a crazy turn of events. Joel Alvarez by decision is 9-1. Now, shout out to my boy Ryan Donnelly, because him and I were talking about this. He likes it as well. But just think about this, right? So Joel Alvarez has got a 100% finish ratio. That's why you're getting this baked in. We talked about it last week with Jillian Robertson. Jillian Robertson had almost all finishes, right? She's a finishing fighter. When we talked about the Corny Casey fight, fuck that, should have gone to decision. She's not above going to decision. She could. The higher level of competition you fight, the more likelihood it's going to go to decision, right?
Yeah, they don't have the same holes in the game that you can exploit to get the finish.
Of course. It's just there's more propensity that it could go to decision. So Alvarez has just dusted so many cans on the regional scene that he's got this really nice finish ratio. Now he comes to the UFC. His fight with Ismagulov, it went to decision. And you know what? He didn't do shit. But there was no finishing instinct. There was no do or die. There was no he has to finish or he loses. It's just he had fought a lot of cans. Now, the Belluardo fight, well, he's a fucking can, so he just fell into the finish. Fine, that's fine. The Joe Duffy fight, Joe Duffy shoots his neck into the guillotine. Shit, it's a mistake by Duffy that leads to the win. Now, Yakovlev's not a good striker. If this fight just stays standing, I think the improvements that Joel Alvarez would have made is enough for him to just outpoint him standing. But he's not knocking out Alexander Yakovlev. And as far as him taking down Alexander Yakovlev, he's not going to take down Alexander Yakovlev. So he's not submitting him. So it's going to go to decision. If it goes to decision and Joel Alvarez keeps this fight standing, he's going to win the decision. It's 9-1 on the
fair.
basis of he's just finished so many guys in the past. But in my mind, Yakovlev, don't keep this a striking affair. Go pursue the takedowns. Take this guy down. You know, if you can hang with Damian, you can hang with better guys than this. At 155, by the way, Alexander Yakovlev's fucking 6'3".
They opened this at like minus 285, and it got steamed.
Yeah, well,
Like
you
now
understand
it's closer
why.
to a pick 'em, and then when we might as well just get into the DraftKings breakdown right now. So when you look at the board there,
This is from the
yeah,
highest
like
to the lowest.
that's why Alvarez sticks out like a sore thumb, is that they made this pricing as he was like an opener of like a minus 285 favorite, so he kind of made sense where he was. Now he's like the odds, the worst odds value on the card, which maybe turns it into Yakovlev being a trendy dog pick on it. Actually, from the time that we made the board to like during this episode, they actually released a price for Lauren Murphy, who slots in at 8,800 in between Ankalaev and Casey. So nobody's going to own Lauren Murphy. But let's go through the card. Make sure to check out Brett Apley's video on Friday afternoons. That'll drop, and he kind of goes through, gives you a couple picks, and gives you a dog play. Brett's a solid guy in this game. Always has, definitely kind of thinks about the DK game a little bit more intensely than me and you do. We're more of betting picks and odds type kind of guys ourselves. But yeah, check out that video. It'll drop on Mayo Media Network on a Friday afternoon. Our boy Matt Best usually does the editing for that. Let's go through it though. Jung, Sam Alvey.
Yeah,
His durability is kind of too good historically, but at 205 we kind of worry about what he can do.
Yeah, straight up, man. Honestly, this week I'm looking for more of those mid-range guys. You look at the most expensive guy, Jung, with Sam Alvey loves to slow down the pace and loves to have his durability. That's what's going to cost you on a $9,400
Yeah,
play.
you need the first round finish, and Alvey historically just doesn't get
Miranda
finished all that
Maverick
often.
absolutely could go out there in style, absolutely. But there is that big question mark factor of like, well, what if she doesn't? What if this becomes a grinding fight? What if it's just lower? What if it's only striking? Is she going to go land 100 strike? No, she's not. I don't really love that 9,300. I really don't. Khabib 9,200 makes a ton of sense because he's 5 rounds. He's going to get takedowns.
He's the GOAT.
But just keep in mind, they don't score fucking strikes on the ground anymore. They just don't. I don't know what. I don't know what happened to Fight Metric. They don't score it no more as significant strikes. So you're getting screwed on DK from this ground and pound. Khabib get takedowns, but if
He
he's
gets
not
a lot
getting
of
points,
transitions.
he's
though.
not getting points on ground and pound, man. He's not a great pick. Whereas
Yeah,
Gaethje
but
is 7,000.
He moves
looks just
around,
way
he
too good.
transitions. There's lots of takedowns, fighting to get back up.
Phil Hawes is a straight up finisher. If he can finish you, he will finish you. That's because he knows if he doesn't finish you, he's going to get finished himself. And I think there's a lot of back and forth that could happen in that one. With Malkoun, he's undefeated. You haven't seen him get rocked. You haven't seen him get submitted. You haven't seen him in bad spots. So it's a lot of like, what if you take Hawes? I don't love Hawes. Joel Alvarez, we just mentioned. If this is just stand up, he's going to land like 50 significant strikes. It won't be enough. He's not a wrestler, and he's not going to take down. He's effectively scored 0. He's not even attempted 1 takedown in 3 UFC fights. He's not taking down Yakovlev. And if he doesn't submit Yakovlev on a botched takedown or something, he's going to score low. Magomed Ankalaev, I fucking love. 8,900. Hopefully he's lower ownership than all those higher priced people behind him.
He will not be.
And whereas I would
him
apply,
and Khabib will be the most owned people on this
I would
card.
apply the same reasoning I did the Khabib fight. Well, they're not going to score ground transitions. It's like, man, he's fighting Ian Cutelaba. Like, believe me, it's probably not going to decision. Casey Kenney over 100 significant strikes, maybe a takedown or two, maybe a couple scrambles that create a couple points, great. But the over 100 significant strikes, I like Casey Kenney. Alexander Volkov. If Walt Harris tips over after 2 or 3 rounds, Volkov can land 100 significant strikes. He's a good player.
The number of strikes that Volkov lands per fight is super high.
Alex Oliveira has typically been good on DK rosters. I don't like him in this spot. I will not be taking him. Obviously, Joel Alvarez.
That's a mistake.
Yeah, all good. Obviously, people know. If this was what it was, I'd take Tuivasa all day.
It's
And I'm
Stefan Struve
still-
versus.
I know.
I mean, we don't even have to talk about because I was gonna probably fix that. but,
Yeah, it doesn't even
now
matter.
they know.
Well, now they know. It originally said Joel Alvarez. But yeah, no, Stefan Struve versus Tai Tuivasa. Again, I'm obviously on team Tai Tuivasa. I think that's huge value, $7,900 if he's going to win. First or second round KO.
Jared
Better
Cannonier,
training camp.
8,200, lock it in.
Yeah, Cannonier, you'd wish he'd have a little more than 3 rounds to work with, but he's only $8,200. It's a great deal. Lauren Murphy, we got the value on her now. It's $8,800.
88.74, yeah.
Yeah, so she's just out of my price range, too expensive. I think that if Shakirova stays to the outside, then she's going to cause Lauren Murphy to have to chase her down. If Lauren Murphy's not getting a bunch of takedowns, and I don't know, like Lauren Murphy's just kind of a generalist. She doesn't do one thing exceptional. She's really tough. Tough doesn't always get you 88 points, which is what you'd want at least if you're paying 8,800. So I'm actually going to hit a hard pass on Lauren Murphy. As far as value guys that you want to kind of save it for you, yeah, we talked about it. You got Tuivasa $7,900, Rakhmonov $7,700. You know, I myself fancy Justin Gaethje $7,000. I could see you taking Walt Harris as a punt play type guy at $7,600. And, you know, I don't like Cutelaba myself. But again, he's quite literally the definition of punt play type guy because he will go for it. So there's a lot of spots that you can save money to get these higher up guys. And I don't even love the higher up guys. So I think constructing rosters this week should be fairly straightforward.
Except you should have Khabib because...
Well, that's very possible.
But you'll have a Khabib.
I might have a Khabib come next Wednesday.
Wednesday. Any final thoughts before
I'll hit them with the Pogi Rob parlay, and then I got to get out of here. I got a feeling we've ran long again, as we usually do, and I get talking with you, and we get having a good time.
25 minutes about Khabib.
I don't know if people think these shows are too long or not, but you could always...
Nobody seems to complain about that.
Yeah, it is what it is. So I'm going to take Justin Gaethje, underdog number 1. Cannonier is even money. I'm going to go Volkov. I'm going to go Phil Hawes. I'm going to take Lauren Murphy. But again, that if there is a pass on the card, that's it. I'm taking Ankalaev. I'm taking Tuivasa. That'll technically speaking be dog number 2. Kenney, Rakhmonov, technically dog number 3 again. These were all way better earlier on in the week. Jung, Miranda Maverick. And I'm going to take Alexander Yakovlev plus 135. However... I really do think that Joel Alvarez, if Joel Alvarez is going to win this fight, everyone's natural assumption is, well, he'll fall on a submission. I think if he wins this fight, he's actually going to box him up standing, win a decision. 9-1, very tempting. But if that wrestling prevails for Yakovlev and he just takes him down and holds him down, you know, he's Russian. He's Russian.
Here's
but
my
not,
take
on
you
Russian.
with this prop.
You know, he's
I don't
from
like
Moscow.
that you're kind of split.
He's from, well, I'll tell you why, okay? He's from Moscow. If you're from Moscow or you're from Sochi, from Dagestan or from Chechnya, it's the difference between being from the city and being from the country.
It's an ev and not an of. But you're fading the freaking goat at the top of the damn card.
Yeah,
Come on,
I know.
Cody.
Listen, every dog has his day, man, and Nurmagomedov's just been at the top of the mountain for so long. 12 fights in 8 years in the UFC. Injury problems, weight cut problems. When he shows up, he's always got good stylistical matchups. Everybody's got their you've always had I'll give you that. You've always had Khabib's balls in your mouth.
I was trying to buy
But after he
merch
beat
of
McGregor,
his
after he beat-
long
oh, yeah.
before Khabib merch even existed. I
Listen.
was at the Las Vegas fight shop like 8 years ago trying to buy a Khabib shirt, and they're like, "Who?"
Nobody can claim that you jumped on the bandwagon. Sir, I've known from the start you're driving the bandwagon. You're Khabib 100%, and I really like that you're sticking with your guy here and taking him till the end. But yeah, as I mentioned, it's been a long time. Like crazy things happen. It's a crazy sport. Gaethje, I think, is the best guy he's fought. Poirier's a good fighter as well. Mentally wasn't quite there. If Gaethje just goes out and does what he's capable of doing, he makes it dicey. Really look for that low calf kick. I think that's going to be the difference maker. Anyways, I got 4 underdogs on the card. 2 of them are kind of even money, but I think it's going to be a fun card. A lot of value, a lot of good spots. We'll talk about props if you want to hit me up on Twitter and shit. But yeah, it'll be fun either way, my man.
That is it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Cody Saftic and our producer, Matt Vest, I'm Paul Shaughnessy saying goodbye and good luck.
MMA experience. Experience.